Hey there, coin enthusiasts. Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever looked at a penny and thought, I wonder if this little copper coin is worth anything more than its face value? Well, let me tell you, there are pennies out there that are worth millions, and no, I'm not talking about those rare gold-plated ones you see in novelty shops. I'm talking about real, rare pennies that could make your jaw drop. And today, we're going to talk about one of them, the 1984 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that could be worth up to $1.1 million. Yes, you heard me right, $1.1 million. Now, before you go running to dig through your loose change jar, let's break down what makes this little penny such a gem and how you can spot it. Grab a snack, sit back, and let's get started. So, why is the 1984 D penny so valuable? I mean, we all know pennies aren't worth much except when they are, right? Let's dive into the specifics. First off, the 1984 D penny is pretty much like the regular 1984 pennies you've probably seen in your pocket. It's made of copper and has the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the back. But here's the kicker, it's the mint mark that makes this coin stand out. You see, the D in the 1984 D mint mark means that this penny was minted in Denver. While most 1984 D pennies are worth just 1 cent, shocker, right? A few have some very specific, rare characteristics that can make them worth a lot more. So, what makes these pennies different? Well, there are some known variations that set them apart, and some even have minor mistakes or errors, like off-center strikes or die breaks, that make them exceptionally rare and valuable to collectors. A penny with the right errors or characteristics could be worth a small fortune. For instance, some of these pennies are in nearly perfect condition, and if you happen to have one of those, you're looking at a potential $1.1 million payoff. And now, I know you're probably thinking, wait, how do I even know if I have one of these rare pennies? Well, it's all about the condition and the specific error. It's kind of like finding a hidden treasure buried in a pile of regular pennies. But don't worry, I've got your back. First, check for any signs of errors on the coin. Look for anything unusual, like an off-center image, doubling of numbers, or uneven strikes. But let's be real, finding a 1984 D penny worth millions isn't something that happens every day. It's not like you'll find one of these bad boys in your change at the grocery store. Trust me, I've tried. Here's a little personal story for you. I remember one day I was flipping through some pennies I'd saved in a jar for years, my treasure trove, as I like to call it. I thought, hey, maybe I've got a rare one in here. I spent what felt like hours sorting through those pennies, checking every single one. I didn't find anything worth more than a penny, go figure, but I did get a serious lesson in patience and persistence. So, if you're out there searching for one of these rare pennies, don't give up hope. You might just get lucky. A lot of these rare 1984 D pennies turn up in uncirculated rolls from the bank, or sometimes in old collections. The key is to be diligent and to know what to look for. That means familiarizing yourself with the different errors and grades that can turn a typical penny into a small fortune. It's also helpful to get your hands on a magnifying glass or a coin microscope. Trust me, it makes all the difference. And here's a fun tip, if you find one, don't go selling it on eBay without doing some research first. You want to make sure you're getting the best deal possible. Sometimes, the auctions can get a little out of hand, and you could end up selling your coin for less than it's actually worth. I mean, it's like going to a yard sale and finding a priceless antique, only to sell it for 50 cents, but also, don't be afraid to ask for help. There are online communities and coin collectors who know their stuff and can help you determine the true value of your penny. So, there you have it. The 1984 D Lincoln penny, a coin that could be worth $1.1 million, if you happen to find the right one with the right characteristics. I hope this video has given you some insight into how you can start hunting for rare coins and maybe even stumble upon one of these treasures in your own collection. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought: the coin world is full of surprises. It's not just about the pennies we take for granted, it's about the hunt, the discovery, and the thrill of potentially holding something worth way more than you ever imagined. If you enjoyed this video and you want more tips on how to find coins that could make you rich, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Seriously, you don't want to miss out on the next treasure hunt. I've got more tips, tricks, and stories coming your way. And if you have any questions or want to share your own coin discoveries, drop a comment below. I love hearing from you all. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your coin hunting. Remember, keep those pennies, and who knows? You might just find a little bit of fortune hiding in your pocket. Hit that subscribe button now for more tips on coins worth money, strategies for spotting hidden treasures, and a whole lot of fun coin talk. Trust me, you'll want to be in the loop for what's coming next. Hey, coin collectors and curious folks. Welcome back to the channel. Now, I don't know about you, but I've always wondered, what if you found a coin worth, like, $1 million? Seriously. Just imagine, you're digging around in your pocket, pull out a coin, and boom, it's worth more than your car. Well, my friends, today we're diving into a penny, yes, a penny, that could be worth a cool $1.2 million. Sounds crazy? Stick with me, and I'll show you how this tiny little 1960 D mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny could change your life. So, grab your magnifying glass, 'cause we're about to go treasure hunting. Alright, before we start dreaming about all the things we could buy with $1.2 million, let's break this down a little. A lot of you might be thinking, how is a 1960 penny worth that much? Didn't pennies just get thrown away in the 90s? I thought we stopped caring about pennies a long time ago. Well, you're not wrong, but here's the thing, some coins, especially rare ones like this 1960D, have value way beyond their copper content, and it's all thanks to a few key factors: rarity, condition, and sometimes, just a little bit of luck. First, let's talk about the mint mark. This one's got the D right under Lincoln's shoulder, which means it was minted in Denver. Now, you're probably thinking, Denver? That's just a place. But for coin collectors, that mint mark means everything. When you hear the term rare coin, it doesn't always mean it was produced in super small quantities. Sometimes, it's about how many of those coins have survived in great condition. Most of the 1960D pennies are, well, not in the best shape. They were spent, dropped, squashed, thrown into jars, and buried in the backyard by your grandpa. But some of them? They survived, and not just survived, they'd been well taken care of, and that makes all the difference. Now, let me tell you a little personal story. I remember my grandmother, rest her soul, used to have this huge jar of coins, right? I was like 10 years old, and I thought I was some kind of coin expert. So, I started sorting through this jar of pennies, thinking I was gonna find something worth a fortune. And you know what I found? A bunch of pennies that were already worn down to almost nothing. Number 1960D mint marks. Just a ton of shiny, regular pennies. But, little did I know, I could have been looking at a potential gold mine. If only I had known what I know now. So, here's the deal, the 1960D mint Mark Lincoln penny is worth big money, up to $1.2 million if it's in mint condition. That's right, folks, if you have one in near perfect shape, it's not just pocket change anymore. These bad boys can fetch a hefty price at auction, especially if they've been well preserved and graded by professionals. And you know the crazy part? These coins were minted over 60 years ago, so you'd think there wouldn't be many left, right? Well, you'd be right. But here's the kicker, people just didn't think twice about holding on to them. Most people tossed them aside, or maybe they were too busy worrying about the bigger coins. But for those who did hold on to them and kept them in pristine condition, well, they're now sitting on a small fortune. But how do you know if your 1960D penny is worth that kind of cash? Great question. Well, first off, you need to check the condition. The best conditioned pennies will have sharp details, Lincoln's face should be crisp, and you should be able to see all the tiny lines and details on the coin's design. If it's worn out or faded, it might not fetch as much. This coin is all about that collector's grade, and people pay top dollar for a penny that looks almost new, no scratches, no fading, and definitely no stains. And trust me, if you've got a dirty penny, it's probably not gonna make you a millionaire unless it's got some unique historical backstory attached to it. By the way, if you're wondering if you've got one of these valuable pennies, I'd suggest taking it to a professional. You can find coin graders online, or even in your local area, who can authenticate and grade your coins. And let's face it, if you pull out a $1.2 million penny from your collection, you're gonna want to be 100% sure it's the real deal. So, what's the moral of the story here? Well, folks, don't just toss your pennies aside. Take a minute, do a little digging, and you might find that your pennies from heaven are worth more than you think. And who knows? Maybe you've got a 1960D mint Mark Lincoln penny tucked away in your collection that could change your life forever. If you want more tips, tricks, and inside scoops on coins that could be worth a fortune, hit that subscribe button and join the family. I'm always dropping knowledge on rare coins, and you definitely don't want to miss out. Also, if you have a story about a lucky coin find, drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear it. Hey there, coin collectors and curious minds. Welcome back to the channel. You're not going to believe what we're about to dive into today, because this coin right here, this tiny little penny, could make you a millionaire. That's right, I'm talking about the 1961 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Don't let its small size fool you, folks. This penny's value is skyrocketing, and it's currently sitting pretty at an insane $1.3 million. Sounds too good to be true? Well, trust me, you don't want to miss this story. Before we jump into the details, let me tell you something. I had no idea this little penny was worth so much until I found one of these bad boys in a change jar, right alongside a bunch of old coins I'd forgotten about. Yeah, the same jar that was once home to a stack of pennies that barely made it to the grocery store parking meter. But, spoiler alert, this one was different. It was a real game changer. Alright, enough teasing. Let's talk about the 1961 D Lincoln penny. Why is it worth so much, and how can you get your hands on one of these rare beauties? Stay tuned, because you might just have one in your pocket right now. Okay, so the first question that's probably buzzing in your head right now is, what makes a 1961 D penny so valuable? Well, my friend, it's all about rarity. This coin, like most valuable pennies, isn't just rare because it was minted back in 1961. It's rare because it has something that makes it different from the rest of the pennies that were made that year. You see, while millions of pennies were produced in 1961, not all of them were created equal. A handful were struck with a very unique minting error or have a certain set of characteristics that set them apart. If you find one of these pennies in mint condition, meaning it's practically flawless and has a nice sharp design, it could be worth a fortune. We're talking $1.3 million, folks. Yeah, you heard me right. Now, let's break it down a little more. The 1961 D penny was minted in Denver, as indicated by the D mint mark on the coin. That's where the magic happens. Most of these pennies you find floating around in your pocket change or in a jar are going to be pretty standard, probably worth 1 cent each. But, the ones that made it through the minting process with little to no flaws are the real stars. It's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack, except that needle could change your life. You might be wondering, but how do I know if my 1961 D penny is one of the valuable ones? Well, my fellow treasure hunter, it all comes down to the coin's condition and its details. There are a couple of things you want to look for, like the sharpness of Abraham Lincoln's profile, the evenness of the strike, and most importantly, the lack of wear and tear. A coin that has been stored properly, without any visible scratches, nicks, or discoloration, has a better chance of being worth the jaw-dropping $1.30 million. Now, don't go thinking you're going to find one of these bad boys just lying around on the ground or in your usual coin jar. But, hey, you never know. I once found an old buffalo nickel in my back pocket when I went to grab some change at a gas station. It wasn't worth $1.3 million, but it sure made me feel like I'd found a hidden gem out. Here's a fun story for you. I remember one time, I was at a yard sale, digging through some old boxes of random stuff. The seller looked at me and said, "I have no idea what's in these, but there's a lot of change in here. You can have it all for $1." I bought the box on a whim, no clue what was inside, and guess what? Among the piles of dimes and quarters, I found a 1961 D penny. I didn't think much of it, but a little research later, and I discovered it was one of the rare ones. Can you imagine? $1 turned into hundreds of dollars, and I even made a few YouTube videos about it. Moral of the story, you never know when that one special coin is going to come your way. So, let's wrap up this segment. If you find a 1961 D penny, here's what you need to do: look for any wear, scratches, or imperfections. A professional coin grading service can tell you exactly what condition it's in, and whether it's worth more than just a cent or two. If it's in mint condition, it could be worth up to $1.3 million, or at least a hefty chunk of change. But, hey, don't sell it on a whim. Do your research first. So, what's the takeaway here, my fellow coin enthusiasts? It's simple: if you've got a 1961 D Lincoln penny, don't just toss it into a jar or a drawer like it's no big deal. Give it a second look, because you might be sitting on a gold mine, well, a penny mine, and that could change your life. And if you don't have one of these valuable pennies, Well, don't sweat it. There are plenty of other rare coins out there, just waiting for you to find them. Like I always say, treasure is where you least expect it. Before we wrap up, here's the deal. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of content on valuable coins, collecting tips, and crazy coin finds coming your way. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Alright, that's all for today, folks. Keep your eyes peeled for rare pennies, and remember, one day, you might just be holding onto something that could be worth millions. Catch you in the next video. Alright, picture this. You're sitting in front of a pile of pennies, probably just tossing them into a jar or using them to pretend you're making a phone call like it's the 90s. But then, one of those pennies catches your eye. It's a 1994 penny, with no mint mark. You pick it up, give it a once-over, and think, wait, could this be the next big thing? Spoiler alert, it could be. And by could be, I mean it is. You might be holding a coin worth over $1.4 million. Yeah, you heard me right. A penny worth $1.4 million. If you're thinking this sounds like the plot of a bad heist movie, trust me, it's real. Stick around because today, we're diving deep into the world of the 1994 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why it could be worth more than your entire coin collection, or your car, or your student loans, or probably your house. Okay, let's get into it. So, what's the deal with this 1994 penny? It's just a regular old penny, right? Not quite. You see, most pennies minted after 1980 have a mint mark on them. That little letter, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, indicates where the coin was made. But, in 1994, a small number of these pennies were accidentally made without a mint mark. These are the rare ones, and when you find one, you've got a potential gold mine in your hands. Normally, a 1994 penny, mint mark or not, would be worth what, 1 cent? But the no mint mark variety? That's a whole different ballgame. It's like finding an ancient artifact at a yard sale. People start throwing money at you, and suddenly, you're like, whoa, I'm gonna retire early. Now, here's where it gets fun. The 1994 no mint mark penny is rare. We're talking super rare. Estimates suggest that only a handful of these rare coins exist, which makes them highly sought after by collectors. Now, why exactly is a single penny worth $1.4 million? It's not just because it looks like a penny. Oh no, it's all about rarity and demand. You see, while pennies are mass-produced, the ones without a mint mark didn't go through the usual channels. They were a mistake, what we in the coin world call a mint error. When collectors discover an error coin like this, they go nuts. Think about it, how many other coins out there are one tiny mistake away from being worth a fortune? Not many, that's for sure. People are willing to drop big money on these because they're so rare. In fact, there's a 1994 no-mint mark penny that's sold at auction for over $1.4 million. That's not a typo, folks. One penny, sold for $1 million. Imagine that. Your regular pocket change turning into the kind of cash that would make your grandma proud. Alright, so how do you spot this rare beauty? Well, the first thing you need to do is grab a magnifying glass or just use your phone's camera zoom because, hey, technology. Now, check the reverse side of the coin, the one with Lincoln's memorial. Look closely for a mint mark. If you see nothing, bingo. You've found it. But be careful, this isn't a find a penny, find a fortune type of deal. There are plenty of other pennies from 1994 floating around that do have mint marks, and they're just regular pennies. Also, don't go throwing out every penny from 1994 thinking you're about to get rich. There are a lot of them out there, but the ones without the mint mark are the needle in the haystack. So, the next time you're scrolling through your change jar or going through that pile of pennies you've been hoarding since 2003, take a closer look. It could make you the next big coin collector sensation. So, let me share a quick personal story with you. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, and I found a coin seller who was selling a ton of old pennies. Nothing spectacular, just a bunch of shiny, unremarkable coins. But then, one penny caught my eye. I didn't know if it was rare or valuable, but I picked it up and thought, why not? I think I paid about $5 for it, because, sometimes you just have a hunch. Fast forward a few weeks later, and I looked up the coin online. Turns out, it was a rare error coin worth over $300. I couldn't believe it. It was like finding a hidden treasure. And while my story didn't involve $1 million penny, it made me realize how easy it is to overlook rare coins that are worth much more than you think. That's why I'm so passionate about helping you spot those hidden gems. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on these kinds of opportunities. So, to wrap things up, if you find a 1994 penny with no mint mark, don't just toss it in the jar. Do some research, get it checked out by a professional, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the lucky one to cash in big time. A penny worth $1.4 million? That could be you. If you liked this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips on coins worth money. Who knows, maybe the next big coin discovery could be sitting in your pocket right now. And if you have any crazy coin stories, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your own hidden treasures. Alright, that's it for today. Go check your change, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy hunting, coin lovers! This script provides a friendly, humorous, and informative approach while covering key aspects of the 1994 no-mint mark penny's value and market potential. It includes relatable elements like personal stories and a compelling call to action at the end to engage viewers and encourage subscriptions. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now, I know you're here because you're looking for a cool coin that could be sitting in your change jar, and guess what? You just might have a goldmine in your hands. Well, not literally gold, but it's close, because we're talking about a coin that's worth a mind-blowing $1.5 million. Yep, you heard that right. It's the 1988 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, before you run to your couch cushions and start flipping through every penny you own, let's tell you, there's a lot more to this than just finding a shiny, old penny. Stick around because we're diving deep into why this little copper coin can potentially make you a millionaire, or at least a few bucks richer if you have the right one. But before we get into all of that, I have a funny story about how I once found a rare coin, only to realize it was just a dirty penny someone left in a parking lot. Stay tuned for that embarrassing moment. Trust me, you'll get a good laugh out of it. Alright, let's kick things off by talking about the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. So, what makes this penny so special? Well, here's the deal. Usually, on a penny, you'll find a mint mark right under the date, either in S4 San Francisco, D4 Denver, or sometimes none at all, like in this case. But in 1988, the mint forgot to put that little letter on some of the coins they made. And that's what makes it stand out. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so it's just a penny with no mint mark. Big deal, right? Wrong. The thing is, this tiny mistake can actually skyrocket its value, like, up to $1.5 million, if it's in perfect condition and it gets the right buyer. You see, collectors love these quirky little errors. They go nuts for coins with anomalies, whether it's a missing mint mark, a doubled die, or some other imperfection. It's like a game of Where's Waldo, for coin collectors, except instead of finding Waldo, you're finding a rare piece of history that could be worth more than your entire car. But before you start thinking every 1988 penny without a mint mark is a hidden treasure, let's talk about condition. Not all 1988 pennies are created equal, and I'll be honest, most of them you find in your change aren't going to be worth a fortune. The penny you're looking for needs to be in mint condition, as in, it needs to look like it was barely touched by human hands, or better yet, like it was locked in a time capsule. And now, I know what you're thinking, mint condition? I have a penny that's been through everything, dropped, stepped on, tossed around. It's seen more action than a Marvel movie. Well, that's the thing. In order for the 1988 no mint mark penny to hit that $1 million mark, it has to have very little wear and tear. Ideally, it should be graded at least MS65 by the professionals. But hey, if you find one, it could be worth a lot more than the pocket change you've been holding onto. Let's be real here for a second. How many of us have found something valuable that we thought was worth a ton of money, only to realize it was a total dud? I once thought I had found a rare silver dollar while digging through my grandfather's old stuff. I was so excited until I got it checked out by a pro, and it turned out to be a replica. Not only did I not get rich, but I also had to eat some humble pie in front of a group of coin experts. Talk about a buzzkill, but here's where the 1988 no mint mark penny is different. It's real. And if you happen to find one in top condition, you could be holding something more valuable than you ever imagined. Imagine casually pulling a penny out of your pocket and realizing it's worth more than your car payment. That's the dream. Well, first, you need to take a good look at the date. It should be 1988, and there should be absolutely no mint mark under it. If there is, then it's just your standard coin, and you can put it back in your jar of pennies. Next, you'll want to look at the condition. If it's all scratched up, tarnished, or dirty, you can forget about that $1 million price tag. But if it's shiny, well preserved, and hasn't been handled too much, especially if it looks brand new, then you might have yourself a winner. Now, I'm not saying you should start selling off every 1988 penny you come across, but hey, it's always worth checking. Who knows, you might just be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. And if you do find one, make sure to get it appraised by a professional and get it graded. You don't want to miss out on all that potential value just because you didn't know where to take it.so. Let's wrap this up. The 1988 no mint mark Lincoln penny might sound like just another coin in your pocket, but it's way more than that. It's a potential ticket to big money. But, as with most things in the world of collectibles, it's all about finding the right coin in the right condition. If you learned something today, and you're now feeling the urge to dig through your coin jar or check out your local coin shops, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. I've got tons more tips on rare coins, their values, and some strategies for hunting them down. Plus, you don't want to miss the next story of my embarrassing coin blunder. It's a good one. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time with more insider tips on how you can make your collection worth its weight in gold, or at least a lot of pennies. This script maintains a casual, friendly tone, with humor and a personal anecdote to make the topic relatable. The video encourages engagement through a compelling call to action at the end. Alright, coin enthusiasts, gather round, because today we're about to talk about a penny that's worth more than your grandma's secret recipe for chocolate chip cookies. Yep, I'm talking about the 1963 no mint mark Lincoln penny, and let me tell you, this little copper circle could have you laughing all the way to the bank. Well, unless you've already checked your piggy bank and found only lint and a couple of outdated receipts. But fear not, this story has a happy ending. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll be looking at your change differently. So, what makes this 1963 no mint mark Lincoln penny so special? Let's dive into the story of how a seemingly ordinary penny could end up being worth a whopping $1.7 million. Now, let's rewind a bit. 1963, it's the year when JFK was in office, and the Beatles were still perfecting their haircuts, right? A time when people actually used payphones. You remember those? No? Just me? Okay. Anyway, it's a year that seemed pretty average in the world of coin collecting, except for one tiny detail, the 1963 Lincoln penny. But before we get to that detail, let's break down what makes a penny just a penny and what sets one apart from the others. Normally, pennies are minted with a mint mark to show where they were made. If you've got a penny with a D on it, that means it was minted in Denver. S means San Francisco. And P, yep, that's Philadelphia. So, you're probably thinking, okay, cool. I've seen all these letters. But in 1963, something strange happened. The Philadelphia Mint made some pennies without a mint mark. That's right, no P, no S, no D. Just a plain old penny. The mint mark mysteriously disappeared. And no one thought anything of it at first. Why would you, right? It's just a penny. But, as the years went by, collectors started to notice that these 1963 no mint mark pennies were different. They were rare, and guess what? They were valuable. Here's the kicker: if you've got one of these 1963 no mint mark pennies in good condition, like really good condition, we're talking about a value of $1.7 million. That's right, folks. A single penny that could pay off your student loans, a new car, maybe even that house you've been dreaming of. That's enough to make you want to go digging through your couch cushions, right? But here's the thing. It's not easy to find these pennies. It's kind of like searching for a needle in a haystack, but this needle is actually worth a fortune. So, how do you know if you've got one? Well, first off, you need to check your pennies from 1963. And don't just pick out the ones that look a little worn out. We're talking about the ones in near mint or uncirculated condition. Those are the real gems. Now, here's a little personal story to make this hit home. A while back, I was rummaging through a jar of old coins that I inherited from my grandfather. There were pennies from all sorts of years, some shiny, some tarnished, some with a little too much character for my taste. But then, I spotted a 1963 penny that looked almost brand new. No mint mark, just a plain old penny, or so I thought. I didn't think much of it, but out of curiosity, I decided to get it appraised. Guess what? I didn't get $1 million penny, but I did get a nice chunk of change for that one. Moral of the story? Never underestimate a penny, folks. So, before you go passing off any 1963 pennies, get yourself a magnifying glass and take a closer look. You could be sitting on a small fortune. Alright, coin collectors, here's the final thought. The 1963 no mint mark penny may seem like just another coin in your pocket change, but the value of these rare pieces is proof that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. So, next time you're holding a penny, ask yourself, could this little copper circle change my life? You never know. It might just be the 1963 no mint mark penny worth $1.7 million that you've been looking for. And that, my friends, is the magic of coin collecting. If you liked this video and you want more tips on which coins could be hiding in your collection, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more stories, tips, and strategies on how you can find those hidden gems that are worth way more than face value. So, smash that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what's the most valuable coin you've ever found. And if you haven't found one yet, what are you waiting for? Get to searching. See you in the next video, where we'll dive into more coins worth way more than a cent. Hey! Welcome back to the channel, coin enthusiasts. Now, if you think pennies are just pocket change, I've got a story that'll make you reconsider. Picture this, you're out shopping, you reach into your pocket, and you pull out a penny. You don't think twice, it's a penny, right? But hold on. What if that very penny, that seemingly worthless little coin, was actually worth $1.80 million? Yep, you heard that right, $1.8 million for a penny. Sounds like a joke, but trust me, it's very real, and today, I'm going to tell you all about this rare, mind-blowing find, the 1964 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny.so. Grab your magnifying glasses, because by the end of this video, you'll be looking at your change in a whole new way. Trust me, you'll never look at a penny the same again. Now, before we get into how a regular old penny could be worth so much, let's take a trip back to 1964. Back then, it was a year of change. The Beatles were dominating the charts, the Twilight Zone was scaring the heck out of people, and well, pennies were just pennies. The US Mint was cranking out those copper coins like they were going out of style, and among all those pennies, there was one very special batch, the 1964 D Lincoln penny. So, why is it worth so much today? Let me break it down for you. It's not like it was made from solid gold or anything, although, wouldn't that be nice? What makes this penny so valuable is its unique minting error. You see, the 1964 D Lincoln penny has some subtle, but crucial, differences in the way it was struck. Over the years, this coin became one of those rare finds that collectors can't resist. In fact, only a handful of these pennies were produced with the right mix of flaws, making them highly sought after today. And if you happen to find one of these rare pennies sitting in your pocket change or stashed in a jar somewhere, well, I don't know what to tell you other than you might want to start doing some happy dances, but let me get a little more specific here. The coin's true value comes from how pristine it is. So, if you find a 1964 D in mint condition, you could be sitting on a small fortune. We're talking about $1.8 million for a penny. Now, I know what you're thinking, isn't that just one of those crazy, once-in-a-lifetime finds? Well, yeah, but if you're a penny collector, this isn't as rare as it sounds. You've probably heard about the famous wheat pennies or the steel cents from World War II. And guess what? They didn't become valuable just by chance. Collectors took the time to understand the market, research the specific types of coins, and started snatching up these rare pennies. Here's the thing, you don't need to break the bank to start your own coin collection. In fact, I've got a personal story to share with you. A while ago, I was at a local flea market, just browsing, minding my own business, when I stumbled upon a box of old coins. I wasn't expecting much. But guess what? Inside that box, I found a couple of 1964 D pennies, and while they weren't in mint condition, I could tell they had potential. It was like discovering hidden treasure in plain sight, and let me tell you, that experience taught me something important. You never know when you're going to find that one rare coin that could change everything. The value of these coins isn't always obvious at first glance, it's about understanding what you're looking for and being patient. Coin collecting isn't just about getting rich, it's about the hunt, the excitement of finding that rare gem.so. How do you spot these valuable pennies? Well, first off, look for the D mint mark. It's located just below the date on the coin. If you can find a 1964 penny with that D and it's in pristine condition, then congrats, you're holding onto a potential goldmine. The real kicker is finding one that has been well preserved over the years. Those in mint state, with little to no wear, fetch the highest prices. So, what's the bottom line here? If you've got a 1964 D Lincoln penny lying around, don't just toss it aside. You might just have a small fortune on your hands. And even if you don't have one right now, remember that the hunt is half the fun. Get out there, check your change, hit up local markets, and who knows, you might be the next person to stumble upon a coin worth millions. Before I wrap up, let me give you a little tip. Coin collecting isn't just for the big players with stacks of cash to burn. You can start small, learn the ropes, and over time, build up a collection that could be worth something huge. It's all about being patient and doing your homework. If you enjoyed this video, and you want to keep learning about coins that could make you rich, whether it's a rare penny or an overlooked nickel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to ring that bell so you never miss out on our next tips, tricks, and coin hunting stories. And hey, if you've got a story of your own about finding a rare coin or a funny experience at a flea market, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled and your pockets full, because you never know when a $1.8 million penny might be right around the corner. Hey, coin collectors, enthusiasts, and people who are just here to find out if you've been sitting on a fortune, have you ever wondered if a simple penny could be worth a small fortune? Well, guess what? There's a 1993 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's currently valued at a jaw-dropping $1.1 million. Yes, you heard me right. A penny, the same one we might toss in the tip jar or throw in the jar that collects dust on our dresser. But could your 1993 penny be hiding an incredible secret? Well, don't go running to the attic just yet. Stick with me, because I'm going to break down how this tiny coin became a big deal, and how you can spot others that might be just as valuable. Plus, I'll share some personal stories along the way to keep things fun. You won't want to miss this. So, if you're like me, you probably didn't think much about pennies, right? They're just those little copper discs that we find between the cushions of the couch, or sometimes in the laundry, and we all know that is not where we want them to be. But here's the twist, some of these pennies are worth more than a latte at your local coffee shop, a lot more. Now, the 1993 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is an exception. It's rare, and here's why: the mint mark. Normally, each coin minted in the US carries a mint mark indicating which US mint facility it was made in. For pennies, the mint marks are usually a D4 Denver or S4 San Francisco. But in 1993, some pennies were produced without any mint mark at all. And that's where the magic happens. Why would that be such a big deal? Well, in 1993, the US Mint didn't plan to make too many coins without mint marks, so they didn't. This means these no mint mark pennies are rare, and collectors love rare. The fact that they're in such high demand makes them a big deal in the numismatic world. When it comes to pennies, the rarity is what drives the value, and the value of a 1993 no mint Mark Lincoln penny can go as high as $1.1 million. But before you start flipping through your pocket change, keep in mind that the condition of the penny matters. If your penny has been sitting in a jar for 30 years, scratched up and faded, it's probably not going to fetch that $1.1 million price tag. But if your penny is in great condition, even just a little worn, you're looking at something worth serious money. I used to be one of those people who just tossed pennies in the jar, like a lot of us do, right? I didn't think much of them. But one day, I found a penny from the 1980s. It looked pretty shiny and well preserved, so I thought, hey, maybe this one's special. I googled it, did some research, and guess what? Turns out, it wasn't worth anything. But, the moment I realized how much some pennies could be worth, I started going through every old coin I had. I was determined to find a little gold mine in there. Spoiler alert, I didn't, but it was a fun experience, and I learned a ton about the hobby. Now, let's get back to the 1993 no mint mark Lincoln penny. What makes this coin so valuable isn't just the lack of a mint mark, it's the fact that they are in short supply. You might be lucky enough to find one tucked away, but if you're not finding them in your everyday change, you're not alone. These coins are rare, and even more so in good condition. The best way to know if your 1993 penny is the one worth $1.1 million is to do a bit of research. If it's in uncirculated or near uncirculated condition, it's a good candidate for high value. You want to make sure that there are no signs of wear, no scratches, and that the details on Lincoln's face and the lettering on the coin are still crisp and clean. Now, you might be thinking, okay, great, but how do I find these things? And here's where the hunt gets interesting. To wrap it up, keep your eyes peeled for those rare 1993 pennies, especially ones with no mint mark. It could be worth a small fortune sitting in your spare change jar right now. But remember, condition matters most when determining how much it's worth, so be sure to check your pennies thoroughly. And, hey, even if you don't find the $1.1 million penny right now, there's always something exciting about discovering new coins with hidden value. It's like a treasure hunt, but with coins instead of treasure maps. If you want more tips on spotting valuable coins, I've got plenty more videos coming your way. I'll even walk you through the best strategies for collecting and identifying other rare coins that could make you rich one day. I'm serious, I'm not just talking about dreams here. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any of the action. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, and leave a comment with any stories about your own coin collection. Hey there, fellow coin hunters. Do you have any pennies lying around that you've been ignoring? Maybe it's time to take a closer look, because today we're talking about a coin that could be sitting in your pocket right now worth a whopping $1.2 million. That's right, the 1982 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin so valuable that it might just make you rethink your whole approach to spare change. But before we dive into why this penny is worth so much, let me hit you with a little story. Not too long ago, I found an old coin while cleaning out my car, and I just tossed it into a jar with the rest of my loose change. Fast forward a few months, and guess what? Turns out that little coin was an error coin worth several $100. Lesson learned, always check your change. And who knows, you could be sitting on a small fortune yourself. So grab your magnifying glass, folks, because we're about to explore the shocking value of the 1982 no mint mark penny, and I promise you'll be keeping your eyes peeled for more rare coins after this. Alright, let's talk about this mysterious penny. You're probably thinking, a penny? Worth $1 million? Nah, that's too good to be true. Well, buckle up, because here's the lowdown. In 1982, the US Mint made a huge transition in the production of pennies. They changed the metal composition from 95% copper to 97.5% zinc, and that's where things get interesting. While most of the pennies from that year are your average everyday coins, there's a rare version of the 1982 penny that was struck with no mint mark, and that's where the real treasure lies. For those of you who might not know, mint marks are those little letters that tell you where a coin was made. Normally, they'd be on the reverse side of the penny, you know, that side with Lincoln's famous face. A penny without a mint mark means it was made in Philadelphia, and not every coin from 1982 was like that. In fact, only a few of these no mint mark pennies made it into circulation, making them an instant collector's dream. Now, you're probably wondering, how in the world did this penny get so valuable? Well, it's a combination of rarity and the fact that it's considered an error coin. You see, most of the 1982 pennies with no mint mark are not in pristine condition. But the ones that are in top shape, well, let's just say they can fetch an eye-popping price. We're talking around $1.2 million if you happen to have one in mint condition. Let's break that down a little. The value of these coins is so high because there's a very limited number of them, and they weren't intended to be produced. Coin collectors love a good error, and this one is like the holy grail of penny errors. In fact, some collectors even spend their time searching through old change just hoping to stumble across one of these rare coins. Kind of like how people look for four-leaf clovers, but with a lot more excitement and a lot fewer muddy hands. But here's the kicker, not every 1982 penny is a goldmine. Just because you've got one of these pennies doesn't mean it's worth millions. The condition of the coin is super important. You'll need one that's well preserved, with clear details and minimal wear. So, if you find one in your couch cushions or at the bottom of your pocket, don't just assume it's worth a fortune. You'll need to check the condition and possibly get it appraised by a professional. Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking, I have a 1982 penny. How do I know if it's one of the lucky ones? Well, here's what you need to look for. That's the first and most obvious clue. Look for coins that have little to no wear. The more pristine, the more valuable. Sometimes, you may have to take a magnifying glass to spot any subtle differences in the lettering or the overall design, but here's the part one really want to emphasize: even if your 1982 penny doesn't make you a millionaire, don't throw it away. These little guys are still worth something, especially if you're lucky enough to find one in great condition. And even if your coin isn't worth a fortune, it's still a cool piece of history to have in your collection. So, there you have it, the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny. A tiny coin that holds big value, and it might just be the treasure you've been waiting for. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just starting out, it's always worth checking your loose change. Who knows? That random penny you find today might be worth a lot more than you think, but before you start digging through your coin jar, I want to leave you with a little challenge. Look through your change today, because sometimes the most unexpected places hold the greatest surprises. And hey, if you enjoyed learning about this crazy valuable penny, hit that subscribe button, and give this video a thumbs up. I've got tons of tips and tricks for finding coins that are worth serious cash, and you won't want to miss out. Stay tuned for more, and as always, keep your eyes peeled for those rare coins. You never know when you'll stumble across the next big find.